New York, Midtown Institute of Technology, graduating class. The windows in the back row were closed, but the books on the desks near the windows were turning without wind, revealing the name Ricardo M. Luo on the title page. Kun talisman floating. Luo Xiao controlled the pages of the book to turn at a constant speed. When he was bored in class, he would sometimes play these small games to kill time and train himself to control the power of the talisman. The girl at the next table looked at the textbook on Luo Xiao's desk with some curiosity, as the pages were turning at a constant speed, but she couldn't feel the wind at all. Luo Xiao found it a little funny to see the girl at the next table pushing her glasses, so she decided to tease her. The book was closed and stopped. Luo Xiao took out a signature pen and skillfully turned it twice to signal the girl with glasses. Suddenly, he closed his hands and quickly opened them. The girl pushed her glasses again in surprise. She thought she was dazzled. The signature pen disappeared out of thin air. Luo Xiao flipped his palm again, and the pen returned to his hand and turned. The girl put her chin down and whispered across the aisle, "Amazing magic show." Luo Xiao smiled slightly. The snake charm had the power of invisibility. He just applied the power of the snake charm to the pen. Luo Xiao knew this girl, of course not from the day he transferred to this class. The girl with glasses in the Marvel movie The Amazing Spider-Man had only a few shots, but she also left an impression on the audience with her beauty. Many editing works of secondary creation bloggers also made Luo Xiao remember her. Luo Xiao was very excited when he first entered the Marvel world. After he activated the 12 golden finger spells, this excitement reached its peak. But slowly the excitement subsided, and he even felt a little worried, because Luo Xiao found that the power of his 12 talismans was too useless. For example, the bull talisman only gave him about 200 kilograms of strength. With the blessing of the rabbit talisman, his 100-meter speed could only reach about 5 seconds. The explosive power of the dragon talisman couldn't even penetrate 1 centimeter thick steel plate. If these powers were in an ordinary universe, they would be enough. But this is the Marvel universe. In the plot, there is a setting that a snap of the fingers can solve the problem of half of the population of the universe. The power of this talisman seems insufficient. Just when Luo Xiao couldn't help but complain again, a fluorescent blue 3D interface suddenly appeared in front of him. Luo Xiao stared blankly at the bold words. Choose your identity, a superhero who symbolizes light and justice, protects humanity, and maintains world peace. A villain who symbolizes darkness and evil, destroys everything, and brings doom and fear. Luo Xiao was still in shock, and the interface jumped. Choose your item, Hero Cloak Devil Mask. After Luo Xiao regained his composure, he could not hide his excitement. It seemed that his real golden finger had arrived. Without hesitation, he immediately chose the villain camp and obtained the item Demon Mask. This was almost a no-brainer. A person who wants to do good things will have many concerns, but there is no limit to doing bad things. A bad person who does good things can arouse the sympathy of the people, while a good person who does a bad thing will be spurned by public opinion. For example, in Marvel movies, the Avengers, who are supposed to save the world, are restricted by the United Nations and a civil war breaks out. A civilian dares to point a gun at a kind and righteous superhero, but he has no courage when facing gangsters and thugs. Luo Xiao stroked the demon mask in the table. It had a metallic texture but was as light as gauze, with uneven patterns on the surface. At the same time, the function information of the demon mask was transmitted. Wearing the mask could change one's clothing and figure, and modify one's temperament and voice. Oh! It's really a must-have artifact for home and travel. Luo Xiao used the snake spell to make the demon mask invisible and put it into his backpack before he felt relieved. He continued to observe the fluorescent blue interface in front of him. There were several lines of text on the interface, Welcome to the evil camp. Unlock plots with the main characters of the Marvel Universe, and have a chance to enhance the power of your spells. The unsealed spells can be upgraded with villain points, which will make you even more powerful. You can gain villain points by making people feel fear, anger, sadness, frustration, regret and other negative emotions. Villain points are the currency of the devil. It can buy a lot of things, such as making you the best pianist, the richest person, or even losing your life. Try to make the superheroes feel negative emotions. There will be unexpected rewards. So, are you ready? Mr. Devil has descended on the Marvel Universe. Luo Xiao couldn't help but lift her hair with one hand. Marvel, get ready to meet the biggest villain. Mr. Luo. The teacher under the blackboard almost yelled. Not only did he flirt with pretty girls in class, but he also turned a blind eye to the teacher's questions in class. Who said that Asian students are all excellent and well-behaved? This transfer student's performance in the first class was terrible. Yes. Luo Xiao stood up reflexively, which caused a burst of laughter in the class. Some funny students imitated his movements of standing up and answering, and the noise was so loud that even the teacher could not suppress it. In New York, students can sit down to answer questions. Facing everyone's gaze, Luo Xiao sat down and awkwardly made a gesture to push up his glasses, but he pushed in vain. So can you answer my question? The teacher said, or do you need me to repeat it? I don't know even if you repeat it 10 times. Although Luo Xiao's mind was not in the class, he heard the teacher's question. It was a very complicated formula, and the 12 spells did not increase intelligence. Sorry, please repeat it again, teacher. Luo Xiao seemed very sincere. It's a decay rate algorithm. Sorry, teacher, I don't know the answer. The teacher frowned, and indeed he was very polite and well-behaved. This attitude made it impossible to get angry. Well, different courses in different schools will have differences, which is understandable. Is there anyone who can help the new student Luo answer this question? The teacher decided to let Luo Xiao go. Someone raised her hand in the middle of the classroom, and she stood up before she spoke the answer. Luo Xiao looked over, her blonde hair fluttering, her face invisible, but the girl's appearance came to his mind. Gwen Stacy. Luo Xiao narrowed his eyes and looked at the back of the blonde girl. His previous mobile phone wallpaper was Stone Sister. The ringtone rang, and it was lunchtime. The midday sunlight was chopped up by the leaves and scattered messily on the public dining table. So how did you do that magic just now? Was it some magical oriental magic? The girl with glasses was very curious. After a preliminary acquaintance, Luo Xiao knew her name, Hannah. There is no magic in the East. We call it immortal arts and magic, and the inferior is called Taoism. Luo Xiao said seriously. Hannah dropped her jaw in shock. Unbelievable. Do your schools teach this? That's nothing. Our students ride on giant pandas, elephants, and horses to study, and some can even drive corpses. Luo Xiao swallowed half a sandwich in one gulp while talking nonsense, and while chewing carefully, he glanced at Gwen, who was sitting at the dining table in front of him on the left and reading a book. That girl is so pretty. A top student and a rich girl. Don't even think about it, you can't get her. Hannah seemed very familiar, driving away corpses. Did I hear correctly? That's not the point. The point is why you think I can't catch up with her. Bet a month's worth of sandwiches. Hannah said firmly. Who eats sandwiches for a month? Luo Xiao looked like she had seen a ghost. A crowd of people gathered in a place on campus, and people kept coming to watch the fun, and the noise could be heard. What happened? Luo Xiao was a little curious. Hannah watched for a while and said, It's Fleischer. That bastard is bullying people again. School bullying. Is Fleischer a school bully? Luo Xiao suddenly became eager to try. You can say that he often bullies weak boys, such as Tom, Jim, Peter. Hannah spread her hands helplessly. I like the school bully. Luo Xiao threw the disposable lunchbox into the trash can. He pinched his wrist. Fleischer, right? He will be my lucky star. Chapter 2 Villain Value 10, 10, 10. The crowd gathered around, men and women laughing and watching the school bullying happening at the center table. Eat the rest of your meal, Gordon, hurry up. Fleischer laughed loudly. It's not good to waste food, especially free mashed potatoes with pork knuckle. Luo Xiao squeezed into the circle with her arms folded, and saw this scene. The tall Fleischer was lifting the thin Gordon upside down, and it looked like Fleischer was ready to stuff Gordon's face into the dinner plate. Suddenly, a mechanical system voice sounded. Villain value 1, 1, 1. Luo Xiao's expression moved. He felt the fear of Gordon, who was being bullied, and a hint of hidden anger. It turned out that as long as the people around him had negative emotions, he could collect villain points, even if they were not caused by him. No, Fleischer, put him down. Someone in the crowd suddenly shouted. He was wearing a gray jacket and jeans, with a camera hanging on his chest. Peter Parker, if the plot goes well, he will become Spider-Man soon. There was no reaction when he saw Peter Rocha. After all, they were in the same graduating class and had seen each other many times today. The system prompted that meeting a key figure in the plot might unseal the power of a spell. Rocha believed that Spider-Man, as one of the absolute protagonists of the Marvel Universe, would definitely be able to unseal one of his spells. But seeing that Peter's system didn't respond at all, Luo Xiao guessed that it was because he hadn't become Spider-Man yet. After all, the current Peter Parker was not the superhero from Queens, but just a student. Luo Xiao was not in a hurry even though someone else had the fun first. He was always a patient person. Hey Parker! Fleischer's face was still teasing, and it seemed that he didn't take the person who came to seek justice seriously at all. Come here, take a picture of me and my dear Gordon. No, I won't take this kind of picture, put him down. Peter's face was serious. Don't eat that thing. Gordon, take a picture. Fleischer insisted, and Gordon was shaking in his hands. Put him down. Eugene! Peter shouted. Fleischer's face changed. His full name is Fleischer Eugene Thompson. Fleischer threw the trembling Gordon down. Gordon fell on the dining table and then rolled on the cement board full of cracks. He screamed in pain. Gordon! Peter was stopped by Fleischer just as he was about to step forward. Fleischer punched Peter hard in the stomach. Peter fell to the ground instantly. His face turned pale. His camera rolled off, and he felt a cramp in his stomach, so painful that he couldn't even speak. Fleischer was a member of the school basketball team. In an unknown fight, Peter had no power to fight back against him. Oh! The crowd was boiling with excitement. The students laughed and teased Peter, who was knocked to the ground. Stand up, Peter! Fleischer yelled, stand up like a man. Peter struggled to get up, but was kicked to the ground by Fleischer again. Stand up, Peter! Are you a sheep? Fleischer yelled, where is your courage just now? Villain value E. These negative emotions were collected from Peter. Just like Gordon before, there was nothing special about him. It seemed that Peter had not yet been recognized as a superhero by the system. Luo Xiao shook her head slightly. Peter was too weak before being bitten by the mutant spider. Finally, after Fleischer kicked Peter again, he was ready to have fun. Stop! A voice full of laughter came from the crowd. Fleischer was stunned, his face full of disbelief. Someone actually came to ruin his game again and again this afternoon. Are there so many people who meddle in other people's business now? Yes, I'm talking about you, the guy who looks like a hippopotamus. Luo Xiao held his forehead with one hand and looked like he saw a ghost. I'm not seeing things. You actually bullied a poor little spider in school. Your behavior is really worse than your appearance. Haha, did I hear you right, Fleischer? He said you look like a hippopotamus. Someone was yelling. Lasha! Hannah followed and tried to stop him from doing stupid things. After all, magic can't be used to fight. Villain value 10, 10, 10. Fleischer's anger was written on his face, and Luo Xiao could see it without the system prompting him. You look like an inflated pufferfish now. I want to use your face to brush my shoes. Luo Xiao raised his hand and shook it slightly, making a brushing motion. That despicable move made Fleischer's anger explode. You are very brave, but more stupid. Fleischer charged at Luo Xiao, rushing into the opponent's defense zone as if he was holding a football. He had already thought about how to knock down this foul-mouthed transfer student with one punch. Luo Xiao continued to smile, and if someone paid attention to his eyes, they could see the silhouette of a wild bull. Luo Xiao kicked Fleischer, who weighed more than 80 kilograms, and Fleischer fell on the chair at the dining table like a kite with a broken string. Ugh! The crowd cried out in unison, and everyone's jaw dropped. Fleischer fell to the ground and curled up, as if he was trying to endure the pain. Villain value 10, 10, 10. The villain value collected from Fleischer has greatly increased. Luo Xiao was happy and analyzed that it was probably Fleischer's negative emotions that were caused by him. Are you okay, Mr. Hippo? Luo Xiao walked forward slowly. How come you accidentally fell? Let me help you up. Luo Xiao grabbed Fleischer's collar with one hand and slowly lifted him up. The onlookers couldn't laugh anymore. The transfer student actually lifted the tall and strong Fleischer up with one hand. Fleischer struggled helplessly in his hands like a sheep. Hey, everyone saw it. He fell down accidentally, and I was kind enough to help him up. Luo Xiao smiled. Right, Fleischer. Fleischer's neck was strangled so much that he couldn't speak, and even breathing was a little difficult. He struggled hard like a sheep in a tiger's mouth. Slowly, he saw Luo Xiao smile and inexplicably felt fear. Luo Xiao put him down, but it was not over yet. Eat this food, Fleischer, and set a good example for Gordon. Luo Xiao pressed Fleischer's face into the plate. Fleischer struggled violently, but everything was in vain in the face of the bull's strength. Villain value 50, 50, 50. There was a dead silence at the central dining table, and no one made any sound. The school bully Fleischer was actually pressed headfirst into the dinner plate. Hey, this is not right, man. Someone spoke up. It was Peter, who had just gotten up from the ground. Thank you very much for helping me, but can you let him go? He's already in a terrible state. Luo Xiao's smile has not diminished, worthy of being a future superhero. Now Peter has a sense of justice in his heart. It seems that Gordon, who was just bullied, is now watching the show in the crowd. No, 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 you seem to have mistaken Peter. Luo Xiao said, holding Fleischer's head tightly. I'm not trying to help you or to uphold funny justice or anything like that. I just want to find someone to have fun with. Maybe the person whose head I press into mashed potatoes tomorrow will be Gordon. Of course, it could also be you, or any of the students here. The onlookers looked at the smile on Luo Xiao's face, and slowly they couldn't laugh anymore. Peter couldn't speak either. New book, Looking for Investment, Follow-up Chapter 3. Gwen Stacy Fleischer. I heard that you are a school bully and you often bully weak students. Luo Xiao said, I like bullying too, but I like to bully the school bully. Ha 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 ha. Do the mashed potatoes taste good? Villain value 50, 50, 50. This voice sounded particularly pleasant to Luo Xiao. And you too. Luo Xiao pointed his finger at the crowd, and everyone was pointed at. You are terrible. You don't dare to help your classmates when they are bullied, and you even mock them. Is that funny? Think about poor Gordon and Peter, and now Fleischer's nostrils are full of mashed potatoes. I believe he doesn't want to eat mashed potatoes anymore. But no one dares to help him. It's so cold. Luo Xiao said loudly. Of course, the lovely classmate Hannah is an exception. Villain value 20, 20, 20. The villain values increased this time are much larger, and Luo Xiao's method of verbally attacking everyone is very effective. FK, shut your stinky mouth, you yellow monkey. A tall black classmate rushed towards Luo Xiao. He was also the main player of the school men's team and was nearly 2 meters tall. Luo Xiao pushed the miserable Fleischer away, took out the plate, turned around to avoid the black man's attack, and slapped the plate in his hand. Doom! The black classmate's ears were ringing, and the remaining mashed potatoes were slapped on his head. Doom! Luo Xiao clapped again. Racist? Doom! Luo Xiao got excited and sang Sunshine Rainbow Little White Horse. Doom! Luo Xiao pinched her nose with her other hand. You are really a mobile air pollution machine. Doom! Hey, Mr. Luo, I have something to tell you. Luo Xiao looked at the blonde Gwen walking hurriedly towards him with a book in her arms. He picked up the black classmate with one hand and picked up the tissue on the dining table to wipe the mashed potatoes off his face. Why are you so careless? Be careful when you walk next time. Don't fall down again. Luo Xiao looked concerned and whispered, Get out of here if you know what's best for you. You don't want me to stick your head in the toilet next time, do you? The black student tumbled away. This transfer student was simply a demon. Hey, so why are you still gathering here? Luo Xiao said to the crowd. Is it fun to watch a poor classmate fall into mashed potatoes? The crowd quickly dispersed. No one wanted to provoke Luo Xiao. Gwen walked in front of Luo Xiao and took a look at the name written in the notebook, Ricardo M. Luo. Am I calling you that correctly? Mr. Luo or Ricardo? Just call me Luo Xiao. Nice to meet you. Looking at the gentle smile on Luo Xiao's face, Gwen even doubted whether he was the one who committed the atrocity just now. My name is Gwen Stacy. Luo Xiao said first. I know. Why did you ask them my name? I just asked them who is the most beautiful girl in the school, and they told me this name, Gwen Stacy. Luo Xiao said seriously. Thank you. Well, that's not the point. Gwen's face flushed. So what were you doing just now? I seem to have seen something bad. Nothing bad happened. Everything is great. Luo Xiao said with certainty. 2 classmates just fell into the mashed potatoes, and I kindly helped them up. Falling into mashed potatoes. Or 2 people. Gwen sighed and said, Well, that's not the point. You just transferred to Midtown Tech, and I need to tell you some school rules. Bullying classmates here will result in a talk with the guardian. The lighter punishment is community service, and the more serious the punishment is, the more likely you will be expelled. Very good rule. Luo Xiao nodded. This is how the school bullies who bully their classmates should be punished. I agree with this. After all, I am not that kind of person. I was willing to help others just now. So why are you looking for me? Is there anything you want to inform me about? Oh, I do have something to inform you. The teacher has assigned you to my study group. Gwen almost forgot about it because Luo Xiao kept interrupting her. We will start our study plan after school this afternoon. We will be in the classroom. I am on duty today, so I can use the classroom and clean it up after I finish using it. Okay. Luo Xiao said, No problem, I love to study. Gwen stopped talking. If she hadn't been holding Luo Xiao's report card copied from the teacher, she would have believed what he said. The warm sun shone into the classroom obliquely, and Gwen's group study plan started at 3 o'clock. Luo Xiao also met an acquaintance in the study group, Fleischer. The mashed potatoes on his face had been wiped clean, but there were still some scratches, and he looked a little embarrassed. Villain value 10, 10, 10. Fleischer stared at Luo Xiao viciously, but probably because of the occasion or the difference in strength, he did not take action. Luo Xiao sat down next to Fleischer in a familiar manner. I'm so happy to see you. How was your afternoon, Fleischer? Did you go to the school hospital? I mean, you might have had a slight concussion after the fall at noon. I suggest you go to the school clinic to see my friend. Seeing Gwen's surprised expression, Luo Xiao said, a friend I just met at noon. He bumped Fleischer with his shoulder. Really, Fleischer? He is. Fleischer shook, and there was a bruise on the place where Luo Xiao bumped from at noon. Fleischer nodded in humiliation. He remembered the scene in the afternoon, when he was lifted up by Luo Xiao with one hand. Villain value 10, 10, 10. Okay, I'm glad you can be friends. Gwen said helplessly, now we have to start learning. The main task of the study group is to complete homework. Luo Xiao took out his mobile phone to play after finishing his homework, waiting for Gwen to check the homework of other members. He read a tweet from the New York Daily. Recently, a mysterious man in black appeared in Queens. He fights criminals and protects the public. Many citizens said that they were rescued by him when they were entangled with drug addicts and hooligans. He even cracked a gang drug trafficking case last night. People call him a superhero. Let's hear what the police think of him. Are you interested in the news? Do you want to be a superhero? So you helped Gordon and Peter at noon. Gwen came to sit in front of him and picked up his homework. The rest of the study group had already left. The noise of the campus was blocked by the doors and windows, and the classroom was somewhat quiet. Luo Xiao turned off his phone. No, I didn't think about helping anyone at all. I'm not interested in this superhero either. He raised his phone and said meaningfully, even if he was righteous yesterday, who knows if he will become an evil criminal tonight. Justice and evil are always opposites. I think the man in black will stick to his justice, Gwen said as she looked at Luo Xiao's homework. Then I'm sorry to disappoint you, Luo Xiao said in her heart. The man in black, the rookie hero, is actually Luo Xiao himself. He did all this just to try to find a way to increase the power of the spell. Now he has found a way, but it is not a righteous way. You've done your homework very well, Luo Xiao. Gwen returned the homework to him. You can go now. I wish you a pleasant afternoon. And remember to pay attention when you come to school tomorrow morning. Fleischer will not let you go. Tomorrow is the weekend, but after listening to you, I'm already looking forward to next Monday. It will be fun. Luo Xiao started to pack her school bag. Do you need help? Luo Xiao said, looking at the blackboard and the messy desks and chairs. I can do it alone. Gwen refused with a smile. See you next week. It should be tomorrow. Luo Xiao smiled and walked out of the classroom. Gwen felt a little strange looking at Luo Xiao's back. Tomorrow is Saturday, and she is going to Osborne Group for internship. How can she see him? Chapter 4 Robbers Park Hyatt Hotel in downtown New York City. Harry Winston Jewelry has booked the entire floor, and after the ball, several treasures will be brought in and auctioned one by one. Most people come here just to socialize and expand their network, and those who can get the invitation are the richest and most powerful people in New York. Of course, some people come here for the valuable jewelry. After all, Harry Winston is the #1 luxury jewelry. Owning a Harry Winston jewelry means being in the company of legends. The crystal chandelier inherited from the 19th century emits a soft light, and the marble floor is polished to a shine, enough to reflect the scenery under the skirts of the waiters as they walk briskly. Each piece of jewelry on the stage was dazzling. Those rare materials became even more precious after being made by top craftsmen. The total starting price of less than 10 exhibits exceeded $50 million. The guests chatted and talked about securities, funds, stocks, biotechnology, etc., in addition to appreciating the jewelry. Few people lingered on the food on both sides of the room, although these delicious dishes were cooked by the hotel chef himself, and the ingredients were mostly airlifted from other countries and regions. Sold for $4.9 million. The auctioneer raised his hammer and slammed it down. This tear of Aphrodite belongs to Mr. Morgan. May he be blessed by the god of love. There was a faint applause from the audience. The starting prices of the next 3 pieces of jewelry were all above $5 million. That was the highlight of the night. Just when the atmosphere was about to reach its climax, a dull gunshot suddenly rang out. The auctioneer, who was just holding the hammer, had several blood holes on his chest and fell to the ground, with bright red blood constantly gushing out. The ladies screamed in panic, and the distinguished guests ran away in panic. No one could keep their composure any longer. The sound of silenced gunfire swept through the venue again, and several unlucky people were shot and fell to the ground in an instant. Fear swept through all the guests. Everyone, don't move. Get down and put your hands on your head. A man wearing a black hood came on stage and shouted, "If anyone moves, I will shoot him in the head." The man wearing a skull mask collected 3 jewels on the stage that had not been auctioned yet. Then he went downstairs to find the previous buyers. The jewels auctioned on the spot would be delivered to the guests as soon as possible. The first buyer hesitated for a moment, and the man in the skull mask raised his Glock pistol and pulled the trigger. The hesitant buyer fell to the ground amid the screams of his female companion. He shot the woman in the off-shoulder dress again. "Sorry, you're too noisy." The guests who were found later were more conscious, and even Mr. Morgan handed over the tears of Aphrodite worth $4.9 million without hesitation. The signal of the venue has been blocked. Of course, for your own safety, don't try to secretly call the police. If you don't want to see Jesus. The man in the black mask raised his Uzi submachine gun and fired a few shots. A man in a brown suit fell down, and the cell phone in his hand rolled into a pool of blood. He had just been squatting in the crowd and secretly making a call, but he was discovered. The man with the skull mask quickly collected all the treasures. He put the jewels in a black bag and carried it on his shoulder. He looked at his watch and whispered, "According to the plan, we still have 7 minutes and 42 seconds. Okay, now please ask the distinguished guests to hand over all the valuables on you. Don't try to get away with it. If you think these material possessions are more important than life," said the man wearing a black hood, "right, Mr. Morgan? I like the Patek Philippe on your left hand. The gold pen on Mr. Williams' chest is also very dazzling. And Ms. Jenny, the sapphire necklace on your neck is very beautiful." Under the organization of the other armed men in black, the guests lined up in 4 orderly queues and threw their valuables into the black pockets one by one. "Sir, you only have an old and broken Rolex." The man with the skull mask raised his gun again. "I'm sorry, you have to hand over something else. I'm talking about your life." The man's face flushed red, and he was shot before he could say a word. The man in black quickly dragged him aside and continued to search the guests. The man with the skull mask looked at the last boy in the queue. The boy lowered his head tightly due to fear, and his face could not even be seen. He looked like a rich young man who came to such a party for the first time. His thin body could not fully support the high-end suit. "Don't be afraid. Show your manly courage. Don't be scared to the point of peeing your pants. That would be terrible. I don't like killing people, unless you ruin my mood." The man with the skull mask encouraged with a smile. "Hand over your treasure now." The boy nodded in fear, stretched out his hand, and a piece of candy wrapper fell into the black pocket. The man with the skull mask was stunned. He suspected that there was something wrong with his eyes and he couldn't believe it. But he took out the candy wrapper from the black pocket, which was wrapped with chocolate and was a little sticky. "I believe you made a mistake, right?" The man in the skull mask raised the gun with a smile. "But you have to apologize with your life." Suddenly, the moment the gun was pointed at him, all the fear in the boy disappeared. He raised his head, and the man in the skull mask was stunned again. The boy also had a mask on his face, which was 100 times more terrifying and majestic than his skull mask. It was a demon mask. No, it didn't look like a mask. It was more like he had really peeled off the demon's face alive and put it on his own face. That's why it looked so lifelike. Even through the devil mask, he could see the boy smiling at him, which was both captivating and terrifying. Suddenly, gunshots rang out, and flames spewed out of the muzzle of the Uzi submachine gun. It was the man wearing a black mask. As the leader, he was calmer and more decisive, and he emptied the magazine in an instant. As the gunshots fell, fear entered the hearts of every robber. The imagined scene of the boy falling in a pool of blood did not happen. The boy actually disappeared out of thin air. That was not a boy, but a demon. This power beyond science is what the demon should have. "Damn it! Come out!" The robbers turned around and looked at every corner of the room, trying to find the figure of the boy wearing the devil mask. Luo Xiao straightened his tie and turned off the invisibility power of the snake spell. "Gentlemen, are you looking for me?" The man with the skull mask turned around quickly. He saw an open palm with the shape of a dragon printed on the palm and golden light surging between the lines. Boom! A pillar of fire burst out from Luo Xiao's palm, instantly engulfing the man wearing the skull mask. "Dragon talisman, explosive flame. Your mask is so ugly," Luo Xiao said dissatisfiedly. Before the other robbers raised their guns, he had already moved again in stealth. He was so fast that the robbers' movements became slow in his eyes, like koalas. Of course, these robbers were not as cute as koalas. Rabbit spell, speed. Gunshots rang out, and everyone emptied their magazines. But the strange scene happened again, and the boy wearing the devil mask disappeared again. Only a body with a completely melted head was left lying on the floor. Looking at the headless corpse, unknown fear spread in their hearts. Villain value 100. Luo Xiao was very happy to hear this beautiful voice. The robbers' emotional fluctuations under the threat of death were more valuable. It's not a good habit to point a gun at others. Luo Xiao came to a robber in black and said, "I bet there are no bullets in your gun." "Fuck!" The robber in black raised his gun and shot decisively. Suddenly, a huge force came from the gun handle, and he couldn't hold the gun anymore. The gun was pointed at him, and the trigger was pulled inexplicably, as if he had committed suicide. Gunshots rang out, and the black-clad robber fell to the ground, his white brains scattered all over the floor. "I'm so sorry, I lost the bet." Luo Xiao sighed and disappeared again. Watching this horrifying scene in the venue, everyone's forehead was sweating coldly, whether it was the robbers or the innocent guests. The devil didn't seem to come to enforce justice. It seemed more like he came to spread fear and create destruction. Was he enjoying the pleasure of killing these robbers? Watch, necklace, watch, and watch again. Is this Mr. Williams' gold pen? It's too tacky. But it should be able to be exchanged for money if melted into gold bars. A voice came from behind. The black-clad robbers turned around numbly. They saw in a corner of the stage, a man wearing a devil mask was holding a black bag and choosing. The accessories that did not satisfy him were thrown out casually, and made crisp sounds when they hit the ground. No one fired again. They looked at each other, and finally their sights fell on the robber wearing a black coat and hood. The devil in the corner didn't seem to notice them, so it would be a good idea to stop now and run away. The black-clad hooded man had a gloomy expression. He waved his hand, and a dozen black-clad robbers raised their guns and began to retreat. Their guns were pointed at the guests. "Are you leaving now? How boring." Luo Xiao suddenly spoke, and the voice was so frightening that all the robbers stopped. "How about we play a game? 123, freeze. Anyone who's still moving, when I turn around will be sentenced to death. Of course, those who can walk to the door will be safe." The devil mask turned around and smiled. "Guests squatting on the ground, don't move. Be careful not to get hooked by mistake." Luo Xiao heard the sound of the villain value skyrocketing. Chapter 5. The devil. This robbery that took place in the city center instantly attracted the full attention of the police. The police surrounded the Park Hyatt Hotel and controlled all entrances and exits and the underground garage. But in order not to stimulate the robbers and protect the safety of those VIPs, they did not try to force their way into the 28th floor controlled by the robbers. The police officers at the scene were also at a loss. This jewelry robbery had turned into a hostage-taking case, and the hostages were all famous tycoons in New York. Even in New York, such a complex and influential case as tonight's was extremely rare. It was not until New York City Police Commissioner George Stacy arrived at the scene that the police work began slowly and orderly. "Can you confirm the identity of the robbers?" Commissioner George asked the police officers at the scene while wearing a bulletproof vest. Half an hour ago, he was still at home enjoying dinner with his wife and children, but this major case forced him to end his vacation and rush to the scene. "I'm sorry, Chief, the robbers are very smart. They turned off all the monitoring systems and curtains and blocked the signals. We know nothing about them." The police officer handed over a page of documents, but the hostage list has been confirmed, and the hotel has shown the invitation list for tonight's banquet. Director George took the document and felt a headache looking at the familiar names on it. These big taxpayers also had allies in the political circle. If any of these wealthy people were injured or killed, the police would be in big trouble even if they cracked down on the criminals. Be prepared to shout on the spot. The tense and solemn atmosphere spread, and every police officer was in a heavy mood. They repeatedly checked their weapons and equipment. The Park Hyatt Hotel is located in the city, and the police's actions were also captured by major media. Outside the cordon, there were still long guns and short guns of reporters and paparazzi. Tomorrow's news headlines have been confirmed, and many media are already trying to get first-hand hot news. You have been surrounded. Put down your weapons. We will guarantee your personal safety. The police officer repeated it again and again tirelessly, but strangely, the robbers did not respond at all. Chief George felt that things were getting worse. The robbers actually refused to communicate and negotiate with the police. They were holding important hostages and were fearless. After all, even if the police surrounded the hotel, they would not dare to act rashly. Suddenly, a hurried voice came from the intercom. "The guests on the 28th floor are out, everyone. The criminals may be among them. Also, they seem to be in a very bad mental state." All the police officers were tense in an instant. They pulled out their guns, turned off the safety, and hid their bodies behind the blast shields. "Back off!" Chief George yelled at the media, who wanted to gather around to watch. Under his order, the cordon was moved back again. Police officers holding explosion-proof shields formed a human wall to block the hotel's door. Distinguished guests crowded and pushed each other, shouting and flashing spotlights. Reporters took pictures of the wealthy and famous people's ferocious appearance through the glass. "Devil! It's the devil! Let me out! What qualifications do you have to restrict my personal freedom? I'm going to complain about you." But the police officers completely ignored the people's yelling, and just raised their pistols and shields indifferently and told them to calm down, step back, and squat down with your hands behind your head. Mr. Chief, you are detaining law-abiding citizens, not criminals. Our reporter asked Chief George. But criminals may have sneaked in and tried to escape. Chief George explained as patiently as possible in front of the camera. Then your stupid actions will only further stimulate the criminals. The reporter insisted, your job is to protect the safety of the people, not to put them in danger. Chief George felt a headache for a moment. They will be safe. They can leave after verifying their identities and making a simple record. He immediately walked towards the hotel. The police worked quickly because the hotel not only had a list of invitations, but many of the guests were well-known public figures, such as wealthy businessmen and Hollywood actresses. Gradually, some guests left the hotel after verifying their identities, and they were immediately surrounded by the media. What? The devil rescued you? He killed all the criminals? No. It was the devil who held us and those criminals hostage. He is 100 times more terrifying than the criminals. His face is as ugly as a beast. He can breathe fire. He is invulnerable to swords and guns, and he tortures criminals cruelly and bloodily. It sounds like the devil Satan. No, that's not the devil. The guest remembered the horror game the devil played with the robbers. When he turned around, the robbers who failed to stop were pierced through the body by the fire pillar. If everyone was completely still, the devil would let the robbers choose one of their companions to sentence him to death. The devil is lawful, and that is the devil, chaotic and evil, representing destruction and massacre. Such conversations were repeated one after another, and it seemed that the guests who had escaped death were a little mentally abnormal. But so what? No reporter would think there was a problem with this. The more explosive the content of the interview, the more excited they would be. Chief George took the elevator to the 28th floor. The power system on that floor was damaged and was still under repair. Emergency lights were on in the dark room, with strong flashlights flashing. Several police officers were investigating and collecting evidence inside, and their surprised discussions were heard one after another. Chief George entered the room and frowned as he looked at the messy luxury suite. Wine and food were scattered everywhere. This would definitely affect the police's evidence collection. Suddenly he froze, and his flashlight slowly moved back until it fell on a corpse. It was a headless corpse. Judging from the wound, the head didn't seem to have been chopped off. More like it had been melted. Then there was another corpse, lying on the ground with a basketball-sized hole on its back. The bones and flesh had all melted and solidified. Director George's face twitched. No wonder those guests were so frightened that they became mentally unstable. Anyone who saw this horrific and bloody scene would be traumatized for life, right? Click! Suddenly, all the lights in the luxury suite came on. The tassels on the crystal chandelier trembled, and the light shone brightly. After a moment, Chief George adjusted to the light and opened his eyes. He saw that all the police officers had stopped their work and were staring in the same direction. He turned around immediately. On the wall of the stage, there was a smiling face with an M on top and a V on the bottom. The blood-red smile was strange and terrifying. He lowered his head and took another look at the corpse on the ground. I will definitely catch you, I promise, George Stacy said to himself. In a single-family house in Queens, Luo Xiao sat in front of the mirror, with the demon mask that had been taken off placed on the table next to him. He didn't turn on the lights, only the moonlight and street lights came in through the French windows, and it was quiet all around in the middle of the night. Luo Xiao looked at his face in the mirror, then at the demon mask next to him. His sight moved several times and lost focus. His eyes were empty. Luo Xiao recalled tonight. He had stopped at the Park Hyatt Hotel in the city center to punish the heinous robbers. He also passed through the dark alleys of Brooklyn and hung the drug addicts who intercepted passers-by and robbed them upside down on the street lamp. Of course, the devil will not always be just. When passing by Manhattan's financial street, Luo Xiao was waiting for the red light when he saw a 911 driver with a greasy hair. He stopped the car and put the driver, who was in a suit, into a trash can beside the road, leaving only the blonde woman in the passenger seat disheveled in the wind. Wearing the devil mask and wandering in the streets of New York, the sinful city, gave Luo Xiao a different feeling. He was free, arrogant, and did whatever he wanted. But all these pleasures disappeared without a trace after taking off the mask. Suddenly Luo Xiao felt that he had changed, just tonight, since he put on the devil mask. But Luo Xiao didn't know whether this was good or bad. After all, putting on a mask is also like taking off a mask. Luo Xiao picked up the devil mask on the table and covered half of his face. He smiled, and the devil mask in the mirror seemed to be smiling at him as well. The system showed that the villain value he obtained on the first day was 8011. It seemed that he still had the talent to be a villain. Chapter 6 Osborne Group. The morning sun shines into the Osborne Group headquarters building. Gwen opens her locker and suddenly the information on her mobile phone attracts her attention. According to eyewitnesses of the Platinum Hotel incident last night, the man who killed the robbers and rescued them was a man wearing a demon mask. According to citizens' responses, they saw the devil in various neighborhoods in New York last night. Although the demon stopped the crime and rescued the hostages, it is difficult for us to describe him as just. He seems to enjoy killing humans. He would tease and torture his targets before killing them. Many of his evil deeds are simply crimes. It is worth mentioning that the devil has some unique supernatural abilities, including invisibility, flight, flame blasting, etc., which is similar to the new superhero Man in Black who appeared on the streets of New York. I wonder if there is any connection between the devil and that superhero. Gwen frowned slightly, and suddenly she remembered what someone said to him yesterday. Even if he was righteous yesterday, who knows if he will become an evil criminal tonight? Gwen shook her head, getting rid of some strange thoughts, and after a while she took out her work clothes, put them on, and walked out of the lounge. Gwen was interning in Dr. Connor's team, not only participating in scientific research projects, but also serving as an intern leader. Today, a new group of interns arrived. So her job this morning was to take them on a brief tour of the Osborne Group, mainly to see scientific instruments and research results. On the same floor, the door of the men's bathroom was pushed open from the inside. Luo Xiao stopped in front of the sink and straightened his collar. After going out, he naturally merged into the flow of employees. To enter the Osborne Group, one needs to make an appointment or prove his work, which Luo Xiao naturally does not have, so he can only take an unusual path. Fortunately, the security management within the Osborne Group is relatively loose, and even Peter, who has not yet become Spider-Man, can easily approach the confidential research laboratory. Luo Xiao, who has the power of the 12 spells, can naturally walk around the Osborne Group at ease. Luo Xiao looked around the atrium and saw the team of interns at a glance. His eyes searched for Peter. According to the plot, Peter Parker will impersonate the intern Rodrigo to enter the Osborne Group today, and attract the attention of Dr. Connors with his unique thinking during the question-and-answer session. Then Peter accidentally knocked a document out of the hands of an Osborne Group executive. He found a familiar symbol on the document, which was related to the research done by Peter's father. So Peter followed the executive and entered a research lab called the Biocable Development Unit, where Peter was bitten by a mutant spider and genetically mutated into Marvel's most popular superhero, Spider-Man, the pajama baby in the Avengers. Luo Xiao came to the Osborne Group today not to witness the birth of Spider-Man, the protagonist of the Marvel Universe. He just wanted to see how his villain system would react to Peter, who had become Spider-Man. After all, this is related to the unsealing of a talisman. Only the unsealed talisman can be upgraded later, thereby enhancing his power and allowing him to live comfortably in this dangerous Marvel universe. In fact, Luo Xiao also thought about getting Spider-Man's abilities before Peter, but he thought better of it. After all, Spider-Man is just a street hero, and except for the spider sense, the rest of his abilities are completely defeated by the 12 talismans. Moreover, everyone's physique is different. He has the healing power of the horse charm in his body, and maybe he was bitten by a mutant spider. Of course, the most important thing is that without Spider-Man, the superhero camp will lose a labor force. At that time, Luo Xiao will have to waste time to deal with minor villains such as Dr. Octopus and Electro. And if the plot is changed, it is not certain what accidents will happen. So far, Peter has not appeared in the intern team, but Luo Xiao is not in a hurry. He is waiting patiently. Welcome to Osborne. My name is Gwen Stacy, a student in the graduating class of Midtown Institute of Technology, and also the intern leader of DR Connors, so I will be with you during the tour. Luo Xiao looked in the direction of the voice and saw Gwen standing at the front of the intern team holding a notebook. Her silky blonde hair was particularly eye-catching, and all the interns were instantly attracted by this beautiful girl. She put on a white work suit over her skirt, leaving a white space between the skirt and her boots. The black skirt showed off her figure, and the work suit and notebook gave her an intellectual temperament, making her look capable and elegant. Where I go, you go. This is the most basic rule. Now please follow me. Gwen led the interns on a tour. DR Connors' team specializes in biomedical and chemical sciences. This is the biological tree developed by the Osborne Group. You can come around and take a look. The interns gathered around curiously. The biological tree used holographic projection technology to display the chaotic biological tree of the Earth, which was enough to shock these high school students with limited knowledge. This is the content of the cross-species department's research. What is demonstrated below is the cloning technology. Suddenly Gwen's voice paused because her sight passed through the crowd of interns and saw a familiar figure. He has black hair, looks a little thin in a suit, and has a straight back. It's Luo Xiao, the new Asian transfer student. Last night, the photo of Luo Xiao pressing the school bully Fleischer's head into the dinner plate was all over the school forum, and many classmates voted for him to be the new school bully of Midtown Tech. At this time, Luo Xiao was turning around and preparing to leave. How could Luo Xiao appear here? Gwen was a little puzzled. Osborne Group was a world-class biological and chemical technology company, and Luo Xiao was just a graduate with poor grades. It was difficult for her to connect the two. Suddenly Gwen remembered Luo Xiao's words "see you tomorrow" yesterday afternoon. Could it be that he followed her to the Osborne Group? This was not impossible. As an excellent and beautiful girl, Gwen was used to seeing crazy suitors. As we all know, the technology to clone a single organism has already existed, although it is still not perfect. Osborne's research on cloning technology focuses on cloning a certain biological tissue, such as a single organ in the human body. Gwen came back to her senses and continued to introduce. Once this technology is successful, it will lead to a leap forward in modern medicine. Many terminal illnesses can be cured by replacing human tissues. Everyone can gather around to see our cloning experiment examples. Gwen walked out of the crowd and looked in the direction where she found Luo Xiao again. Luo Xiao was about to turn the corner and gradually disappeared in the crowd. Lucy! Gwen hurriedly called a colleague. Please help me show them around. It's just a simple tour. Seeing her colleague's embarrassed expression, Gwen quickly said, I'm going to the bathroom. Please, please. Then come back soon. Lucy smiled helplessly and agreed. Gwen put down the notebook and quickly chased after Luo Xiao. Chapter 10 Gwen Spider-Man. Luo Xiao felt a little surprised that Peter did not come to the Osborn group today. He didn't know the specific reason why Peter did not come, but it was definitely because of his arrival that changed the plot. But Luo Xiao was not worried about Spider-Man's problem. As long as Peter wanted to solve the reason for his parents' disappearance, he would always find the Osborn group. Maybe tomorrow, or next weekend, it was only a matter of sooner or later. Luo Xiao was thinking, will the plot of the Marvel Universe change from now on? Suddenly, while still thinking, Luo Xiao was stunned. Someone was actually following him. It was not that he had a keen sense, but that the tracking technology of the person behind him was too poor, and it could be said that it was full of flaws, following too closely, footsteps, reflections on the smooth wall. Who could be the one following him? Did the Osborn group discover his intrusion? But obviously not. If someone from the Osborn group discovered him, they would just ask the security to kick him out. After all, he was not wearing a demon mask, so the people from the Osborn group did not need to be afraid. Luo Xiao did not reveal any flaws. He continued to calmly turn into a sparsely populated passage. After entering the corner, there happened to be a surveillance blind spot with no one, and Luo Xiao's figure disappeared instantly. Snake spell invisibility. After becoming invisible, Luo Xiao leaned silently against the wall, quietly listening to the subtle footsteps gradually approaching, and slowly he saw the figure of the tracker. It was Gwen. Luo Xiao was a little surprised. Why did she follow him instead of leading the group of interns? No one. Gwen was a little dazed as she looked at the empty corridor. She was now wondering if she had seen the wrong person just now. Gwen glanced at the empty passage. At the end of the passage was an open door. Obviously, if someone came here, they could only hide behind that door. It's impossible for them to disappear out of thin air, right? She frowned slightly, as if she was struggling whether to go in and take a look. She hesitated for a moment, but curiosity finally prevailed. Gwen recalled what Luo Xiao said yesterday, "See you tomorrow." Those questions resurfaced. What was Luo Xiao doing in Osborn Group? He also entered such a confidential research laboratory. Luo Xiao leaned against the wall and watched the scene indifferently. Gwen walked past him towards the end of the passage. He turned his head to look at the door at the end of the passage. There was a sign next to the door. Biocable Development Unit. Biocable Development Unit. Luo Xiao was a little confused. According to the plot, Peter Parker should have accidentally entered this laboratory where mutant spiders were bred today. But why did Gwen Stacy enter now? And because she was following him. After a brief thought, he did not stop Gwen from entering there, but followed Gwen silently. Luo Xiao remembered that in the parallel universe Earth 65, Gwen Stacy became a superhero named Spider-Woman after being bitten by a radioactive spider. Did he enter a parallel Marvel universe? Or did the Marvel universe change its direction under his influence? After all, his influence far exceeds that of a butterfly. Could it be that the superhero born today is not Peter Parker's pajama baby, but Gwen Spider-Man? Fortunately, all this is not important to Luo Xiao. Gwen's sense of justice and mission is no weaker than Peter's. Even though she is still an ordinary person, she has played a significant role in helping Spider-Man eliminate villains. So Luo Xiao thought that if Gwen Spider-Man was born today, she would also be a qualified superhero. Gwen carefully entered this mysterious research room. Gwen has never been to this place. After all, she is still just an intern. After entering here, Gwen will also be shocked by its intelligence and sense of technology. In the center is an assembly line for manufacturing various biological cables, and their design and research and development inspiration all come from the magical spider silk. Spider silk is far stronger than humans imagine. In terms of mechanical strength, spider silk fiber is close to the strongest carbon fiber and high-strength synthetic fibers such as aramid and Kevlar, but its toughness is significantly better than the above-mentioned fibers. Next is a fully automatic machine that tests the toughness of these biological cables. The spider silk, as thin as a hair, is continuously stretched into various shapes under the huge force of the machine. Not only does it not break, it also maintains its original toughness after shrinking. Gwen looked around. The room was empty. She felt a little uneasy. Mr. Luo. Luo Xiao. Gwen called quietly as she groped her way into the room. Luo Xiao was watching all this calmly. This was a constant temperature room emitting blue light. A giant machine rotating at a constant speed filled the entire room. The rotating machine was covered with various spiders, and the spider silk was intertwined to form many huge webs. Gwen was also shocked by the sci-fi scene. She guessed that this should be the breeding room for mutant spiders. Before she could find Luo Xiao, the transparent spider silk became crystal clear under the blue light, and Gwen couldn't help but touch it with her hand. Suddenly, something strange happened. The giant machine that was rotating at a constant speed began to slow down. The spider web was twisted when the spider silk was stirred, making a squeaking sound. Countless mutant spiders fell, landing on the ground and on Gwen's hair. Shit! Gwen shook off the spiders. The feeling of the multi-legged animals touching her skin was really creepy. Gwen looked at the mutant spiders all over the ground and prepared to run away, but after taking a few steps, she suddenly felt a sharp pain in her neck. Ah! Gwen almost hit the wall. She leaned against the wall to stabilize her body and touched the wound on her neck with her backhand. Detected superhero Spider-Gwen, Rabbit Charm has been unsealed and can be upgraded using villain points. Try to make Spider-Gwen feel negative emotions. More surprises are waiting for your exploration. The female voice of the system sounds so wonderful to Luo Xiao, but is it okay to bully a girl? Such a beautiful girl. Girls are beautiful and lovely creatures, so you have to increase the villain value. You've been bitten by a spider. Gwen turned around immediately after hearing the voice. Seeing Luo Xiao's face, she was a little angry. She was so unlucky today. She would definitely be blamed by Lucy, who was on duty, when she returned. Who knew if the spiders used in the experiment were poisonous? But she had no reason to be angry, because she had brought this upon herself. Wouldn't it be fine if she wasn't so curious? Gwen could only blame herself for her bad luck. Luo Xiao approached Gwen, stretched out her hand and pulled a spider silk from behind her neck, and Luo Xiao held up the silk to show her. There was a small spider hanging at the end of the silk, which was clearly visible under the light. It was not scary, but it was a bit creepy to think that I was bitten by such a creature. Do you need me to take a look at your wound? Luo Xiao said enthusiastically. If the situation is serious, you should go to the hospital, because we don't know if these spiders are poisonous. I think it should be necessary. Gwen turned around decisively, and suddenly she turned back and said, "Thank you." Luo Xiao looked at Gwen and he smiled. Gwen looked away immediately. Why are you here? She began to change the subject. I'm an intern in the biomaterials department of Osborne Group. This department is responsible for the research of the Green Devil Biocable project. This is a studio in our department. Luo Xiao was serious. He never thought about his lies. Chapter 8 Upgrade of the Talisman. While talking, Luo Xiao started to move his hands. He lifted Gwen's golden hair in clumps. Gwen's golden hair was very soft and thick, like ripples on the lake caused by the breeze. Luo Xiao opened her collar again and saw a small wound, similar to a mosquito bite. The wound looked a little red and had a small hard lump. It looks a little red and swollen. Can I touch it? Yes, if it's convenient. Thank you. Now Gwen feels that Luo Xiao is not that bad. Although he has poor grades and is a school bully, at least he bullies the school bully, which can be regarded as defeating the villain. He also has a gentlemanly and polite side, and treats girls with propriety. Luo Xiao extended his index finger to touch the wound on the back of Gwen's neck, and a faint golden light flashed. Horse charm healing. Under the power of the horse charm, the wound on Gwen's neck healed at a speed visible to the naked eye, and the redness and swelling disappeared quickly. The moment Luo Xiao's fingers touched her, Gwen couldn't help but tremble slightly. She thought it was a physiological reaction, which made her feel a little shy, and her face turned red unconsciously. But Gwen is cheerful and outgoing, and she is not the kind of girl who blushes when having physical contact with the opposite sex, which makes her a little puzzled. Gwen suddenly found that the strangeness on her neck disappeared. The wound was originally itchy and slightly painful, but after Luo Xiao touched it, these negative feelings disappeared. There is no reasonable answer. She can only attribute it to psychological reasons. Luo Xiao fixed Gwen's collar and hair. Okay, no problem. You are lucky. The spider is not poisonous. Thank you. Gwen stroked her hair and smiled. So can we continue with the question just now? Why are you here? I'm doing an internship here. Where's your proof of employment? Gwen stretched out her hand. All employees of the Osborne Group have proof of employment, including interns. Gwen did have a name tag on her chest. Luo Xiao remained calm. I'm planning to intern at Osborne, so I came here to check it out first. You followed me? No, you followed me. You followed me here and got bit by the spider. Gwen smiled and held her forehead. Okay. None of that matters. I sneaked in. The reason I came here is... Luo Xiao smiled. I love science. I love science so much. Osborne's achievements and status in the field of biological science are like Stark Industries in the field of arms, so I came here. How did you get in without a work certificate? Gwen asked curiously. Your mysterious classmate Luo Xiao. It doesn't matter. We should leave. This laboratory is quite confidential. The Green Devil Biocable project hasn't even been released yet. It would be terrible if people found out that we made trouble here. Luo Xiao said, You don't want to be expelled from Osborne, do you? Gwen looked at the spiders all over the floor and shrugged, and the two of them ran away. Along the way, they just chatted for a few words, and Luo Xiao stopped in front of the elevator. I have to go. Okay, I have to go back to work. Gwen nodded and said. Luo Xiao handed over a glass test tube, and in the test tube was the mutant spider that bit Gwen, but it was dead now. Under the light, the spider in the glass test tube was bright in color and had long legs. It's so beautiful, Gwen exclaimed after taking it, but when I think about how it bit me, I want to flush it down the sewer. Ding! The elevator arrived and the doors slowly opened to both sides. Don't do that, Luo Xiao said. It will be worth your collection. Bye. Luo Xiao walked into the elevator. Bye. Gwen waved. The elevator went straight down to the first floor. After Luo Xiao walked out of the elevator, he found a public seat in the lobby and sat down. He hurriedly opened the villain system and started to check. The fluorescent blue 3D interface appeared, and the Rabbit Talisman badge was indeed lit up. Rabbit Talisman LV1, upgrading to LV2 requires 1500 villain points, and the speed is increased to 50 meters per second. Luo Xiao's villain value was still fixed at 8011 last night, and he immediately chose to upgrade without hesitation. From LV2 to LV3, 2000 villain value is required, and the speed is increased to 100 meters per second. Luo Xiao continued to click on upgrades until he upgraded the Rabbit Talisman to LV4. He only stopped when he still had 2011 villain points left, which was not enough to support the next upgrade. At this time, the speed of the Rabbit Talisman has reached 160 meters per second, which is very impressive. After all, the Bugatti Veyron is the fastest mass-produced sports car in the world, and its maximum speed is only about 120 meters per second. There are not many superheroes who can catch up with the Bugatti Veyron. At least Captain America and Spider-Man can't even smell the exhaust of the Bugatti Veyron. Luo Xiao looked at the upgrade instructions of the villain system about the rabbit talisman. The villain value required for each upgrade will increase, and of course the upgrade speed will also increase significantly. It is worth mentioning that Luo Xiao found that the highest level LV12 is not upgradable. The villain system prompts that the talisman needs all 12 talismans to reach LV11 to upgrade to LV12. When the rabbit spell reaches LV12, the speed can be infinitely stacked, even exceeding the speed of light, thus gaining the ability to travel through time. In Marvel's setting, this is the ability of the Time Stone. After some simple calculations, Luo Xiao found that if he wanted to upgrade from his current LV4 to LV11, the required villain value would be 31,500, and his speed would reach 5 times the speed of sound. However, Luo Xiao still believes that it is necessary to develop in a balanced way. If the rabbit spell is upgraded to LV7, it will be enough for his speed to reach the speed of sound. After all, there are few useless spells in the 12 spells, and many of them can greatly improve his combat power after upgrading. It seems that the cost of upgrading the talisman level is still within an affordable range. After all, the system more shows that a skill of firearms proficiency or driving proficiency requires 2,500 villain points to redeem, and the Porsche 911 worth about $200,000 only requires 5,500 villain points to redeem. Luo Xiao's goal now is clear, which is to earn more villain points. Villain points can not only be exchanged for various skills in the villain system, but also can be used to upgrade talismans. Its importance is self-evident. Hey! Luo Xiao's mind was still immersed in the system when a voice woke him up. I always run into you in unexpected places, Gwen said. Luo Xiao, we meet again. I thought you left first. Luo Xiao looked up and saw Gwen standing in front of her. She had changed out of her work clothes and was carrying a small bag. I'll take a break here and summarize what I gained from visiting Osborne today. Luo Xiao stood up and looked at the luxurious decorations around her and said, It's really high-tech and luxurious. What about you? I've taken a leave of absence. It seems that the damn spider has caused some adverse reactions in my body. My mental state is not good. Gwen shrugged and said, If it's still like this later, I should consider going to the community hospital or something. In fact, I think I should go to the hospital right now, if someone hadn't told me that the spider is not poisonous. Indeed, that spider is not poisonous, I promise. Luo Xiao smiled. You look unwell. Do you need me to take you home?